Greetings everybody, Guy McMonstermaker here with a new tutorial, and today we are going to be making a custom interface inside of ZBRUSH. Now this is a video that I'm sure a billion other websites and channels have, but it was asked of me by one of my subscribers, so I thought I would oblige. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what I have set up here. And this is my personal setup here. And you don't have to do it this way, obviously, but I'm going to show you how you can just kind of customize stuff as we go along. Just so you can get a feel for the process yourself. You can add all kinds of stuff to this interface, take it away. You can create custom menus and things like I have up here up at the top. Yeah, let's just dive right in, really. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to Preferences, and I will go to Config, and I'm just going to go to Restore Standard UI. Okay, so now this is what it looks like at the outset. This is not, I'm not going to save this, so if you wanted it to remain like this, then you would go to Preferences, Config, and then Store Config. But when I reinitialize ZBrush, it should show up. In fact, let's go ahead and do that really quick. If we hit Initialize, it will pop up with my default UI already in place, in theory, and it did not. Well, let's see if restarting it will fix that. And it did. And the reason for that is because when we go to Preferences, Config, just because we restore it here doesn't mean that the actual startup configuration file is going to save that. However, when we initialize and then try to restore it, it's not going to, because it's basically using the settings from the previous version of ZBrush that was running. So you actually have to close it and then reopen it to get your custom interface back. So let's go ahead and load this up here. We're going to select my creature again. And we'll just load that right up. Hit T, F, Shift to straighten it out. Okay, so for myself, I have very simple tools that I work with a lot of times. I only have a few mat caps that I prefer to use. And, I work with basically the same tools most of the time. And I also have the same shortcuts. I don't really like using all of this if I don't have to. During my speed video sections, one of the reasons why I go by so fast sometimes is because I'm using the shortcuts, which for me, it's Alt and then the small bracket key or the comma. And that brings up all the things that I use on a regular basis. So we have mirror and inflate for our deformation tools, and then we have our poly groups, so auto groups, group visible, dynamesh and resolution. I don't mess with all the other stuff. Mirror and weld, close holes, group split or split hidden, merge down, merge visible, make Boolean mesh, preprocess current, decimate current. Those are the main things that I use when I am working on my commissions or just my personal statues and whatnot. Yeah, so let's just jump in, and we're going to now restore standard UI, and let's go into how we customize this. So to do that, we're going to close tools out really quick. We're just going to come over to preferences, and we'll drag this. You can drag it to left or right, doesn't really matter. But within preferences, just go to config, enable customize, and then from there, custom UI. Now, all these big boxes, these orange boxes and whatnot, these are just basically kind of like placeholders, space holders that we don't really, you don't have to worry about them in the sense that they're just to kind of make it so that you don't have any unused empty space, if that makes any sense. It is used empty space. All right, so let's go to create new menu, and we'll call this one tutorial _ menu. You don't have to do the underscore. I just like to. Good naming practices is always important, or are always important. Forgive me, I'm a little tired. All right, so you'll see that right here is tutorial menu. When you click on it, you might get confused at first because it's going to blink into a different spot. So because it is alphabetical, tutorial menu is going to come after transform. Click on that, and you'll see that we have nothing in there at the moment. Now, if you hold down Alt and Control and you tap, nothing happens. You can't drag it out either. If you want to get rid of this, you actually have to put something in it first. So let's go ahead and grab this. We'll just grab anything out of here. Let's say that, let's focus on, in our tool section here, let's say that we very often use group split. So hold down Control and Alt and drag it into our tutorial menu. Now when you click on that, again, you'll see that it didn't do anything. So what you have to do is we're going to go ahead and double tap here, open this up, close brush, and then we will open up tutorial menu really quick, and we'll drag it over here. Okay. Now you'll see that we can actually take this here, group split, drag it across, drag it over the name, and then double tap and it'll open it up, and there it's sitting right there. Now, why am I showing you all these things that don't work first? The reason is because you're going to get lost if I don't, because it's very specific the way that this likes to work. So if you don't want a menu, for instance, you want to get rid of this one, again, most of the time you'd think, let's hold Control and Alt and drag out, and that doesn't work. It does with our stuff, like let's say we want to get rid of group split. Control Alt, grab, drag it into the document, and it's gone. Okay, so that doesn't work for actually getting rid of a menu. If you want to get rid of the menu, you actually have to hit Control and Alt, tap on the name, and then you come over here to backspace, hit delete, and enter. Now it is no longer a part of our menu system. The problem with that is that now you've also lost all the stuff that was in there. But that's just a way to show you how to create a menu and how to get rid of a menu, because it can be a little confusing if you're not used to how to do it. So let's come back to custom UI. We'll create new. We'll call this one tutorial underscore menu again. And let's go ahead and do the same thing. Tap on it. Drag it over to this side. And now let's actually start adding stuff to it. So the first thing that you can do is, if you want, you can come over here and hit Control Alt, grab this, drag it into place here, and now you have a sub menu within this greater menu, right? That's fine and good, except for, I don't know if you're like myself, I don't really like having one of these open and then it closes the other ones, and then you have to tap on that one to open it up. But for the sake of, the tutorial, let's just kind of show the things that we can do here. So right here we have our untitled menu, and again, if you Control and Alt and tap on it, you can't do anything with it just yet. Now if you can Control Tap Alt that one, you can, right? Tutorial menu, just go ahead and hit enter. We don't want to change the name of that one, but the only reason that we can is because there's something in that little subsection. The same applies to these sub menus. So let's grab this split hidden, and we'll put that in here. Okay, we'll grab the group split, and we'll put that in here. Now let's say that we only need these sections here, or these two features from that subsection, right? So Control Alt, tap on that. Now we'll just call that split, right? Not split, split. There. Now we have our split subfolder. Okay. If we come back to preferences, we can grab another one and drag it in there. Don't drag it in here, okay? Because that's going to create a subfolder in this section. You don't want that. You don't want to have a subfolder within a subfolder. So let's go. I mean, unless you do, but whatever. Drag it over the name, and now you'll see that it creates a new section for us. Okay, so tap on this one, closes that one, so on and so forth. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and for this one, we will come back up here, and let's say we like to do a lot with our polygroups, which is something that I do often. I'm very often working with my polygroups. Let's say, let's close preferences really quick. And in polygroups, I will grab auto groups, and I will open that up, and I will grab group visible, and I'll put that there. Okay, so now Control Alt, tap the name, polygroups. All right, so now we have these two sections here, right? So polygroups, and then if I tap that, it goes to split, tap that, goes to polygroups, close that. I don't really like how that works unless you have a crap ton of items that you use when you're working on your stuff, which most of the time your workflow should be simple enough that you can just grab a handful of the things that you use constantly, and then the rest of the stuff you can kind of customize into like a menu that you can have up here. But this is something that ultimately I would like to kind of be able to use within the viewport. So I need to be able to see everything that I'm working with, on top of the fact that I am legally blind. So I don't need any other obstacles standing in my way when it comes to trying to make out the stuff on my screen, because I already have a hard enough time seeing the letters sometimes. So let's go ahead and see what we can do about this. We can just come over here and we can grab our auto groups, drag it into the main section, and now we have our polygroup subfolder. We'll drag that out, come over here, escape. Now we'll grab these and we'll drag them into the main menu. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so automatically you see it's a little neater, which I like. Now, if you don't want them so close together, you can also come in here and we can just grab this big layer divider here, just drag it into place. And as you can see, depending on where you put it, you can cordon off whole layers. So we can put it down here. As long as you put it, whatever you put it over, it'll end up above it. Okay, so now we have group split and group hidden separated, group visible, auto groups separated. We can come back in here and grab this one and drag it in, then drag it below. There you go. So now we have that separated, that separated. We can bring something else in here now. Let's go ahead and let's say that we, I'm just going off of the stuff that I use most often. If we come over to geometry, we can grab our Dynamesh settings. So let's just come over here to Dynamesh, grab this one. We'll drag it over the name, and that'll put it at the top. We can drag down, and that'll be right below. Okay, and we'll grab the resolution slider. I don't really mess with any other stuff within the Dynamesh section most of the time. So we can just come back to custom UI, and we have a couple of different things that we can use here. If we grab this big blocky thing here, we can put that right here. And now it is blocked off all that space. So now it's, just for organization purposes, you can't like accidentally drag this or move it without this being influenced as well. So let's say that is a menu that we like, right? Let's say that, and you can do that with just about anything on this list. Let's say that this is something that we want to be able to use in the viewport, at some point. Let's go ahead and come back to preferences, just hit the enable customize, and it'll close it. And as you can see, now we have this little menu that we can access whenever we want. So we're going to come over here. Let's go ahead, and it's right here. Hit Control and Alt, tap on it, and as you can see, it asks you to create a hotkey. So let's go with, I'm going to go with Alt period. Okay, I'm left-handed, so I use the stylus in my left hand. So it doesn't make any sense for me to have like Alt S or Alt D or Alt Z or Alt S, anything like that, because my right hand's free. So let's just go to Alt period when we're in the viewport. And it looks like it didn't take. I might have taken too long when I did it. So instead, let's go ahead and we will do Alt A, which is purely for demonstration purposes. So that would be Control Alt Tap, Alt A, and well, I already set the key, but that's how you do it. So Alt A, and now we have our little tutorial menu popping up here. I personally would never use this because I'm, left-handed. But I guess if you're not left-handed, then this is perfect for you. So you can use just about any key combination. But the point is that you can create a custom menu, and then you can bring it up here, which is convenient. You can use space for all the big stuff, and then Alt A for all the things that you use on a regular basis. And so, yeah, that is super awesome. And I highly recommend that you learn how to do this. Now, the other thing that we can do here, excuse me, is let's go ahead and close this out. Let's open our brush panel back up, and let's take a look at all these options that we have here. A lot of the stuff we're never really going to use. So if we go to enable customize one more time, let's see. I don't need to scroll. Okay. So let's go ahead and Control Alt, grab these icons. I don't need to zoom. I don't need any of that. Animated half size. The perspective grid, I don't need that either because you just hit P to go in and out of perspective mode, so that's not a problem. And as far as the zooming and whatnot and all of that stuff, you can just come over here to transform, and we have all of these functions here. And so it's not really that important, frankly, especially if you know how to use hotkeys and a stylus with Alt. So let's see. We don't need. I'm not going to worry about the floor grid. Again, if you need any of that stuff, it's all here. So you can find it in its respective spots and transform, and then tool. Let's see what else. Symmetry, local symmetry. I'll put that there. Whatever. Let's see. Don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Don't care about that. Don't care about that. You press F to frame. We can move objects, scale them, and rotate them with our keypad and our stylus. Wireframe. Okay, I do use that often. Transparency I use often. Ghost transparency. Use that. And solo mode, I don't use it that often, but it might come in handy at some point, right? And expose view, I do use that sometimes, especially when I'm working with clients and I want to show them what their piece will look like once it's separated out and keyed and everything. So we'll keep that there. And now let's see, don't need the home page. Light box, I can move over here. Light Boolean, I'll move here. Now I can either put something in these places, or I can just move all this stuff to the side here. Now we have a little bit of a gap. Again, customize UI. What do we do with gaps? We just come over here and we'll place that right there. Bam. Problem solved. I don't know why we would do that, but whatever. This is purely for examples, right? Okay, so let's say you have a certain couple of brushes that you like to use. Move topological is one. We can drag that over here, Control Alt, and then grab the icon and move it down. Gamma standard, same thing. Move it down, put it a little closer. There we go. Give it enough space so that you can see the entirety of the brush. Clip curves, again, use that. These are all for my personal selection. These are what I use the most often. Saved it. Lasso. And there we go. Okay, so now we have all that done, and then we can come over to materials over here. And we can dock that one really quick, or we can just look at what we have here. Grab that one, Control Alt, put it over here. Material, grab this one. I use that one a lot. Put it over there. Just make sure that they're even. And that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as how to customize things, it really doesn't get much more simple. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our brushes, our materials, interface here that doesn't have a bunch of stuff over encumbering it. This is cleaned up top. And if you hit the Control A, you get your little menu here. So yeah, that is how you would create a custom user interface. I know it, may have taken a minute, but I'm trying to show you as much as I can. And then once you're all done, you would just come over here to Store Config. And if you wanted, you can also go to Save UI. Now, once you do this, when you exit out of the program, it's going to ask you if you want to save your hotkey bindings. If you're comfortable with what you have set them to, then just hit yes. If not, it's going to revert back to whatever hotkeys existed before you did the Control A configuration. All right. So there you go. There you have it. This is God McMonstermaker saying, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more tutorials, and be sure to optimize your interface however it is that you like it, so that you can be that much more effective and efficient with your time and your sculpting inside of ZBRUSH 2021.5. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.